Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Well, as we pass halfway in the season this evening, we are opening ourselves up to an amazing championship fight here for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Formula Series. Of course, in the Formula 4 cars, we go racing every other Thursday evening, and it is hotting up to be an interesting championship. It's myself, Cameron Rodge, Justin Prince alongside we as we go racing for 3 races this evening at Phillip Island, of course, right by the coastline in Melbourne. And here is the championship that is coming your way. As so we pass the halfway point this season here here for rounds 10, 11 and 12 at Phillip Island for the Feather Online Gaming Grand Prix before we work our way back to Europe for the Red Bull Ring Zandvoort before we come back down under to Oran Park for the mega final by Svenska iRacing on April the 18th. There is plenty of racing going our way, but there's been plenty of races already so far. 9 of them, and we've had 5 different winners so far, and it leaves us like this. But the only person up towards the top there to not win a race as well, Marcus Byfeld. 5 winners, but he's leading the championship despite not winning a race. That is courtesy of Jesper Eriksson, unfortunately having a bit of a DNF back at Laguna Seca. So when those points get all sorted out a bit later in the season, he probably will end up being up towards the front, but Byfeld being the most consistent so far. Of course, big shout outs to Augustin Fredriksson in behind, and also Michael Hafledison jumping himself up inside the top 10 at the previous round, getting 2 of the 3 race victories, including the reverse grid race as well. We come in towards the qualifying session. The 0.78 of Eero Nom was leading the way in practice. Can he do so as you get into the qualifying session? And Justin, it's going to be fast around here. Loads and loads of slipstream, long straights, and that is just the type of racing that we like.
And in turn, I think it's the type of racing Eero Nom's going to thrive in. Last week, he was in about the mid-pack, and in turn, it was difficult to be able to make their way through the field. In turn, this week, it's going to be more so the driver focus. Yes, there's a lot of drafting areas and opportunities like the Gardner Straight, but it's more so driver intensive, at least to me, because of how you have to be able to flow through all the corners and handle the main passing opportunities in Miller Corner and Doohan Corner. If you don't race this track well outside of the one main drafting section, you're going to be in trouble.
Absolutely. There's 12 nominated corners on this track, but with the way it flows and the amount of high-speed corners, there really is only about 4 or 5 proper big corners that you really need to worry about on this track. Of course, the main one being down at the hairpin at Honda after you go through Stoner's Corner, but also here up at Lukey Heights, down in towards the MG hairpin as well. This is going to be a good overtaking opportunity if you have the bravery to dive it down the inside, but then it's really flat out towards the end of the lap here, working way through the kinks to 11 and 12 and onto the Gardner Straight down this front straightaway. It's a long run, and especially when we get towards those final couple of laps, you're going to be wanting to place yourself well to get yourself in the tow. Here is Nom around the final corner, 2/10 off Marcus Byfeld, who's leading the way so far with the 28.9. And as the Nom driver comes across the line, can he work his way up the field? I think he's going to stay there in 3rd place for now, and Jesper Eriksson is down there in 5th place, just 3/10 off too.
I don't think it's a surprise to use at the top of the board for the qualifying session right now out of the 4 laps. Marcus Byfeld. Just double checking this after you mentioned how he hasn't broken through into victory lane yet. He hasn't had a single finish except for one, that being in the last round, outside the top 5. And it's going to be hard to catch up to somebody as the points later when, yeah, he's not getting the wins, but he's been the most consistent, you can argue, this entire season with 8 top 5s out of 9 races. Jesper Eriksson's the only other driver to come even close, and he's got 2 finishes outside the top 5, and that's just that big enough difference on top of that DNF to be where Byfeld has that advantage. And in turn, he's going to be difficult to stop unless he starts going flying upside down or something.
Certainly, he's been so fast since he came into this series a few months ago. He came halfway through our previous season of F4 racing, the back end of 2023, and if he had done the whole season there, he probably would have won the title, but unfortunately for him, he only did half the season. Therefore, Jesper Eriksson was able to take the title. But we come to season 2 as such, these F4s, and he's looking very fast, almost 0.2 of a second at a track that is certainly very close. Here is Linus Broström. As you can see, he is racing from Australia himself, coming down that front straightaway. Nom goes up into 2nd place. Broström, after a pretty strong performance in the reverse grid race last time, gets himself up into P16.
You gotta love the power of the internet, right? Sometimes you have a great internet connection. Sometimes it flips the connection right upside down, right? As Nom ends up going to the grass as he's up to 2nd. That's going to invalidate the final lap time. Everybody's put up qualifying times here. But to get towards the point of, remember how you mentioned Honda Corner and I mentioned Miller Corner? 2022 is when they renamed that main passing section turn 4 after Jack Miller. And in turn, that's going to be a change. Some people, in terms of the broadcast side, are We're starting to find out, but many more can say it's an honorable move to name it after a legendary MotoGP driver.
Oh, absolutely. He's an awesome talent. And it's nice that we have, obviously, Stoners now in towards Millers as well. As you say, perfect in unison there for these drivers as we work our way towards the first of the races. And here is your grid. Byfeld and Nom on that front row with Lenholm Fredriksson on the second row. Then we've got Jesper Eriksson and Melvin Augustin. So look at all the Force drivers there up inside the top 6. Absolutely doing the bits so far. Havlidsson and Bachmann are on your 4th row with Bohlin and Olsen there up inside the top 10. Hellberg and Frisk round out your top 12. Lundberg and Crook, the 2 teammates on the 7th row. Kamara, Brewstrom down in the top 16. Allard and Holmbaum inside your top 18. And we do have a lot of drivers on the grid today. Vedestad and Eriksson inside your top 20 with Jallemeld and Janker inside your top 22. Brewstrom and Loden inside your top 12 rows of the grid. Skelson and Neptune inside your top 13 rows. Dan Holman a little bit lower than he would have wanted, down in 27th place. Wallingston just behind him in 28th. Hawkenshott and Hana inside your top 30. And then the final drivers on the grid are Norgren, Moten and Pettersson, rounding out 33 drivers coming racing today here at Phillip Island. And we do have, as I said, 3 races coming your way. The first 2 will be 10-lap races and 16 for the reverse grid. And of course, as ever, the race 2 will be determined by the result. It's basically a stop and start. We go once more, but then it is the top 20 that get reversed for the slightly longer 16-lap race. And that is where the championship contenders need to try and get those points back, because 20 out of 33 is obviously quite a big swap on the field. And that is how we saw some of the drivers having some issues in the previous round of VIR, but we come down under to Phillip Island, of course, in the Feather Online Gaming Grand Prix, and we are going underway as Marcus Byfeld gets us away from that front row side by side with Nom, but he's actually got away. He's got onto the left-hand side of the grid, and that's going to be good. That's the racing line coming down towards turn 1 as they all go single file in the front, side by side in the back, as they go pretty much flat out in towards turn number here at Doohan's Corner. In towards turn 2, the southern loop. Here we're going to see some diving up the inside, but also you can use that outside line work. There's a bit of camber there before coming onto this little straight up towards Stone's Corner. Of course, down into the infamous hairpin as one of the Force drivers goes off in the background.
That's Lenholm, who's been so good in some of these early parts of the card. He's getting shuffled and turned to the back. Going to take a little while to recover. Namo already looking to try and defend aggressively for second. This is where you expect us potentially see a lot of stack-ups in open wheel racing here at this racetrack. A lot of drivers get very bold and set it very deep into everybody else's tire tracks. Not too much this time. It looks like the top 5 able to calm down early.
It looks like everyone got through pretty nicely through Miller's hairpin as well, and that is what we like to see on the opening laps. A little bit side by side as you come up towards Lukey Heights. Do have to back out of that one sometimes. It gets very, very tight as you keep it to the left-hand side, not the normal racing line, because you need to open up this hairpin. A few little lock-ups there as drivers trying to think about dives down the inside, but all in the background we got cars going up into the air. One of the Bright Esports cars is around as well, and a couple of other drivers involved in that one. Is that the 71 of Brewstrom, I think it might be, who's dropped down the way. Vedestad, I think, was involved, maybe Rickard Allard. 3 cars involved in that incident. We've seen Vedestad already go back to the pit lane, unfortunately, as we get to the end of lap 1 of 10 here for the first race of the evening. Byfeld leads away, Nom in second place, and just look how they close up, but then decide not to overtake into turn 1.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a nasty incident, to say the very least, back there. At least one car, I believe, went over top another on top of the halo. Keep an eye on Pontus Witterstad. And right over top the virtual halo he goes.
And that is why we have them in racing. Of course, not so much driver safety in the sim, but definitely an important factor. Down the inside there goes Fredriksson, trying to push Havlidsson out of the way. Actually, that's Havlidsson coming up a little bit from his qualifying position, trying to get past all these Force Esports drivers. And it might be up the inside into 3rd place already, winning 2 of the races. And he probably should have won all 3 races back at VIR, certainly showing his speed. And he might be able to keep himself up onto the podium. But Fredriksson is going to come back as he comes through the hay shed up towards the top of the hill once more. And this is some very good racing. It's actually Eriksson there diving up the inside now, trying to get back through one of his championship rivals. The 81 machine, though, holds it around the outside, and that will turn to the inside for the hairpin. He dives up the inside of Fredriksson. They remain side by side for now as the racing continues through the fast left-handers to finish the lap.
And this diciness could be a big part of how drivers lose the draft here. It's pretty common at all the tracks, but when you get aggressive here and can't complete the pass with switchbacks, you can lose the toe in front, and that draft effect is going to be huge for a chance if Flitterson needs to sort things out. These Force Esports machines are not making it easy, and there's some contact.
Oh, that could very easily be the big crash in towards Duans, but they remain side by side down towards the inside of turn 3. Havlicton has that inside line, and that should work out nicely through the southern loop. Is able to cover that one off in towards P3, but Fredrickson is going to come back on the exit though, as there's a slightly different line going on between the two. Up the inside, flat out through turn 3 here, in towards the hairpin. The top two go away. We're going 3 wide as Ericsson tries to go down the inside of the pair of them in towards the hairpin, backs out to that one as Havlicton just manages to hold on to that P3. In the end, the teammates are battling now as we come up to Siberia, and that could be an important factor that these teammates don't want to let Havlicton go up the road too much, but the reason why Havlicton is in a bit of a rush is because the top two are starting to pull away.
Yeah, and that draft effect, albeit difficult to get, is very important when you have it, as there's what happened first. He's towards the back and some contact on a deep send from behind, and expecting a lot of deep sends as the race goes on. Keep in mind, Fredrickson in the midst of all of that nearly did the exact same thing, all while some of the drivers up front, especially Byfeld, is locking up these tires, trying to hold on as Aeronum is keeping them in his paces.
Oh, it's so easy to do there down into MG, the unloaded tire on that inside line. But let's see how the run is looking down this front straightaway to the left-hand side. Byfeld comes, your championship leader, of course. Here's Aeronom. He's only done 1 round so far, 3 races to his name in this championship, and now he's leading it. The 078 goes to the front as he hit lap 4 of 10, the first race of the evening for the Feather Online Gaming Grand Prix. And this is looking very nicely for him coming into this championship, looking very, very fast. 2 top 5s in the previous rounders. We're also seeing in the background multiple cars getting involved on the exit of MG, certainly turning out to be probably the most difficult corner on the track. 2 cars are out the rear wings.
Oscar Mullen, Klaus Loden amongst those involved in that contact. Anders Jamad, as you just seen there. And a few of those drivers with damage like Philip Hank are still trying to get the cars going. That being said, when it comes to Num, I'll say what I said the last time. It's not a surprise to see him up here. I was surprised he wasn't up as quick as he was towards the front at VIR. And better yet, in terms of the luck, didn't seem to be on the sign. Today, it seems to be. And then, well, this replay is not going to be pretty on the pit entry, is it?
Yeah, the driver's slowing down for those yellow cones. Unfortunately, not quite enough for the driver in the background there as Yamala gets spun around for another time. We've seen some big battles at the lower end of the top 10. Lenholm, Wallin, and also must have gone off, actually. Wallin, too, potentially. He's gone around as they're all the way dropping outside of the top 10. Lundberg and Holmbaum work their way up 3 wide into the apex. That's never going to work, as Oliver Wallin for Bright Esports by pit last is going to be coming down, unfortunately, from that grass. Up towards the front, though, Byfeld, is he going to retake the lead on that outside line? Yes, he is. The slipstream working to his effect. Nom has to back out of that one, just slipping behind into that second place as he comes through Duan's corner, and Byfeld is looking very good. But what this battling has done is it's let the drivers in behind catch up as they're within that 1 second, and actually they're fighting themselves now. Fredrickson's got up the inside of Havlicton's. Havlicton's not been able to pull away despite the pace we know he has in this car. Side by side they go in towards Stoner's corner, maybe a little bit of a think to the inside line. No, Fredrickson comes hard defensive line there as they're potentially going to try and work as a team to get Ericsson through in the background. Bit of sliding, bit of contact between the two, but Fredrickson holds on to third.
Yeah, all I'll say to this is, do they want to catch up to the leaders? Because I can see the thought process saying, okay, we think we're getting held up by the 81, but he's part of the reason you're catching up because you're working together as a grouping. If you're within a few car lines, then go and make the pass. If you're this far back, you're still technically not in it. If you can't make the pass fully, if you're Fredrickson and company, you need to be able to keep lockstep. It puts you into a prime position to be passed right back in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, they definitely want to be coming down a little bit if they want to win this race as well, because they are still within that range But let's see what they do. Come down the front straight away this time around. Vincent, the second driver in that train, comes to the right-hand side. That'll be the inside for the first corner as we hit lap 6 towards the front. Nom retakes the lead. Just showing you how powerful this slipstream is, because we're going to see that overtake, but also have Vincent able to do the same and replicate that in the background. As Ericsson is sitting there in that 37 machine rather nicely, but not being able to do too much actually so far. So I wonder if he's just trying to use his teammate to pull themselves up towards the front. And now what they need to do is not really battle this lap, and then they might be able to catch up to Byfeld. But let's see what they do in towards the hairpin once more. Is there going to be a bit of a dive to the inside? No, they're going to let Haflitzen have the racing line and maybe try and catch up in the foreground. Though Nom was looking a little bit maybe defensive there into the hairpin.
And I don't blame him, because obviously the second best opportunity is through Miller Corps, mind you, for passes. Then it's difficult to pass the rest of the circuit, the rest of the couple sectors here. That being said, getting back to the Eero Num conversation real quickly, a legend in absolute beginners, a multiple-time series champion there, won almost every single time of the track in 3 different types of cars essentially in that series. It's not a surprise to see him up towards the front. His team manager, while he's out of the race, is probably hoping he can hold on to the midst of all this. Already past halfway, coming up to 4 laps to go. It's basically down to those two. Haflitzen is the only one who's gaining. Those Force machines are losing ground in the draft.
Yeah, they need to sit behind, and well, as you say, I don't think they have much choice right now, but they definitely do need to sit behind, even if the slipstream pulls them back in, as Byfeld and Nom continue their battle up towards the front. But Byfeld leading that one. I think Nom also needs to be careful, because he doesn't want to lose them time. No, Haflitzen is coming as well. As you see, Haflitzen in the bottom right-hand side of your picture, also racing from his second home in Melbourne as he tries to win another race this season. He's won 2 of the last 3 races. Can he make it a third as he chases down in the background? There's a bit of a swap over for the Forza Esports drivers. Ericsson gets through into that 4th place, which is important. And as we say, Haflitzen, he might not be quite up there in the championship just yet, only recently just getting inside the top 10. But with the way that it works with the points, over the course of the rest of the season, the amount of races that we have, he will be able to catch up should he keep on getting these podiums and getting these race wins.
And I think hence why his teammates said, okay, go ahead, you're the one battling for the championship, the highest chance right now. But for Marcus Byfeld and for Eero Num, just that continuous swap for the draft. And I think it's going to be down to, you want to be second coming to the white flag, because you can only make the one move for the block, right? You don't want to make that one move and then all of a sudden, bam, you lose the race because of that. I think you want to be in attack position, and right now it's lining up with the pattern to where it's almost going to be Eero Num with that chance to be able to make the pass coming to the white flag at this rate.
He's doing a good job as he come on to the next lap of the race, lap 8, as it's going to be 3 laps to go side by side in towards turn 1. Jesper Eriksson, he was sat there in 5th, 6th place for a while, but now the pace is coming out of that Forza Esports machines, challenging Haflitzen down in towards turn 1 and 2. And now as you come out onto the short straight, Easy going to be thinking about making a move down towards the hairpin. Here is Neptune. Byfeld's teammate goes around, clipping that curb on the inside of MG. But also Allard, does he do the same? Oh no, the other way round, just losing it already on the entry of the corner, as there's a bit of chaos here down in towards Millers. They caught up to the top 2. Nom is at the front. Byfeld is 2nd place. Ericsson has got up into 3rd as Hafli dives up the inside to try and take that place back. The 81 machine for AM Racing on the exit of the corner is looking so good, but look at Ericsson, the drive he got on that outside line, and retakes that 3rd place, but they are coming for this race lead.
That was near significant contact to the side pods, and look at the teammate work. The Force machines are saying, you know what, let's hook onto the draft, try and shuffle the 81 out of here, because now we can attack. He's no longer an asset to utilize. It's more so a liability in terms of our chance as a team. Haflitzen's not going to be easy to pass, though. Hafli knows how to defend, but with a couple laps to go, now you have 3 cars essentially with the chance to swap. Expect Byfeld to take the lead here, but then it could get interesting with what Ericsson could do in the final lap.
Let's see this one coming up towards the line. I think Nom is still able to lead it. So do you actually want to be leading the race when we get to that final lap? Let's see how they do it. 2 laps remaining here at Phillip Island for the first race of the Fella Online Gaming Grand Prix. And so far as Byfeld leading the way from that pole position. Nom was on the front row with him, but Jesper Eriksson, slightly disappointing by his standards in qualifying, but he's coming for it here in the race, coming up towards one of the best overtaking opportunities down in towards Miller's hairpin. What is he going to do? He's going to be thinking about it surely for a bit of a dive. If he wants this race lead, he goes to the right hand side, he dives. Can he do both of them and get the race lead? He holds it to the inside curb to try and not make contact. Byfeld on the outside manages to avoid that, but Eriksson up into second place, and this might be good for him to get a race lead as Hafley is batting with the Forza Esports cars behind.
I'm surprised he made it stick there to be able to take second, let alone didn't crash into the leader there. But that's what Jesper Eriksson's been able to do all season. Stick it when it comes to bold, aggressive moves to that orange and white machine. Now, he's in the position to take the pattern instead, unless Eracingligan is willing to take it 3 wide essentially here. Byfeld's just struggling though in turn 10.
This is going to be an important move for who is going to be leading the way. We're coming to the white flag and we have 6 cars battling it out for the podium places. And this is just the first of 3 races this evening. We will reset after this, but of course the points are on offer. And who is going to get them? Byfeld leads Eriksson, Nom, Havlidsson, Fredriksson and Auksson on the back of this one. How are they going to finish up as we get onto the final lap? Eriksson goes to the race lead on the inside. Nom is going to follow him through to try and get the second place, and he does so. Byfeld from first to third place is now having to defend from Havlidsson in the background, who's also got Fredriksson on his case as we work our way through the mid part of this lap. Eriksson, is he going to be able to win this race? Let's see, because they're battling in behind.
If they don't clear this up in the battle, it's Eriksson's race to lose here. They do have traffic ahead. Byfeld has the draft effect to be able to clear. Byfeld needs to be within a car lane to get a true shot to make the pass, and without anybody beside, he needs to shuffle all this off.
And this battling is continuing. So Eriksson, he's got half a second gap. Is it going to be enough? Round the outside we go. All bit of contact there. Maybe as some smoke comes up. Eriksson leads the way. Byfeld second place. Huge contact there. And the 81, unfortunately this season is just not going his way because there's further contact. And after looking at the podium place, he might be just slightly outside of that in 7th place. So we're on to the final lap. Eriksson is leading the way. He's got Byfeld and Nom in behind. Is there going to be enough of a run towards the start-finish line to try and take this away from your driver sitting second place in the championship? Marcus Byfeld, your championship leader, is maybe not going to get a race win. He hasn't got one this season so far. Out of the final corner, is there going to be enough? It's a long run to the line, but is it long enough? The checkered flag is out. Eriksson leads. We come across the line and race 1 goes to Jesper Eriksson. Byfeld in second place. Nom is in third. And Eriksson, he had to bide his time over the course of that 10-lap race, but he managed to get to the front at the perfect time and take race victory.
As I said, he needed to be within a car length coming out of that final corner if he wanted a true shot, if not by turn 10. Jesper Eriksson played that perfectly. Massive aggression, yes, to be able to get that second spot away, but it put him right in the spot he needed to get to be able to leapfrog with that draft.
And that just shows you what racing is like here around Phillip Island. You don't have to be on pole position to win the race. You can certainly be a little bit further back, and that worked out perfectly for Jesper Eriksson to take another race victory, which puts him up to 5 out of the 10 races we've had. And that is certainly looking very, very nice for him in the championship. He was only 6 points behind Marcus Byfeld as well, so they are going to be very, very close. It's only really because of that one sort of crash they had on that one back at Laguna Seca that's really hampered Eriksson's performance so far this season. But Byfeld from that pole position is going to be looking very good. And of course, we reset and we go once more. Be Eriksson and Byfeld on the front row, and they're going to have to reignite that battle. Bit of a shame for Havlidsson as well. Once more looking at a podium place, but in the end gets some contact and goes down to 7th place. So definitely a tricky race for him, and certainly not the one that he would have wanted after taking 2 race victories. And the only reason why he didn't win the other race was because there was some contact as well. Here's results though, and of course your starting grid for the second race. Eriksson, Byfeld, Nom, Auksson and Fredriksson, your top 5 in the end with just 2 seconds between them. Lennholm was in 6th place, and Havlidsson dropping down after that contact to 7th place. Almbon, Oliver Bohlin and Eric Lundberg round out your top 10. Jesper Eriksson getting the fastest lap on lap 7, as that was the start of his charge towards the front. Helberg, Backman, Holmer, Frisk, Vollingstam inside your top 15 with Kamara, Crook, Brostrom, Skegelson and Hanna inside your top 20. So Linus Brostrom, despite being around on that first lap, able to get up inside the top half of the field, or almost inside the top half of the field, I should say. So that's not so bad for him. And then we've got Norgren, Brostrom, Neptun, Pedersen, Allard inside your top 25, Ericsson, Schott, Jalmalid, Olsen and Juncker, all of these drivers being many laps down after there were some big contacts in this race. Drivers going up in the air. Then it was Loden, Motin and Federstad, your drivers unfortunately to continue the DNF list after 10 laps of racing. And that will be your grid for the second race as well. We reset, we'll go back onto the grid. We will go racing once more for another 10 laps of action. And Justin, to be honest, I'm expecting a bit more of the same. And what it seems like is you need to battle at the right time to not lose the draft.
Yeah, that was kind of what it was emphasizing. If you battle too long, you're losing the draft. If you end up battling too long towards the end, you don't have enough time to be able to get close enough. You need to be extremely poised when it comes to when you want to make the move and when you want to make the charge. 10 more laps up on the board in turn as well here. And that top 3 on the racetrack, it could be any one of those 3 based on what we've seen here, but don't be surprised if Fredriksson does something.
Yeah, he was looking very racy, wasn't he, in that race? Of course, getting the second race victory back at VR. Can he win race 2 once more as the lights come on and the Feather Online Gaming Grand Prix is going to go racing for the second race of the season? Can Marcus Byfeld finally take victory? Let's see. Jesper Eriksson from the front row, though, got away very nicely. He can't quite pull over to the left-hand side just yet. There's a bit of side-by-side with Byfeld as they continue a little bit more side-by-side than we saw in that first race. It went a little bit more single file, but for this one, coming down towards the southern loop, we see him getting to a bit of sunset conditions. Cars going a little bit wide in the background, but everyone's staying on the track for now as the top 3 stay in formation side by side between the Force drivers, and Havlison already trying to make a move up the inside in towards Stoner's corner, and also Byfeld side by side for the race lead. Big crash in the background. We'll get to that in a moment as the race leader tries to defend on the inside line. Byfeld to the outside as he leads the championship coming into this. A huge lock up there from Oliver Wallen. He tries to work his way now back onto the racetrack, but the top 3 stay in formation.
A crazy start compared to the calm start before. These drivers not afraid to use up some of those incident points early on, it seems, as well. Keep in mind, there is a 15 incident point limit per race, essentially. You haven't seen too many come close to it. A lot of drivers are trying to get very close to it here. That being said, did you just say we're having a sunset at 9 a.m.?
Oh, is it 9 a.m.? Sunrise.
It's Australia, but the sun still rises. It doesn't go down in the morning to go up at night.
We know things are upside down here, but we'll see how the racing goes. And not many cars is definitely what we want. But there was that huge crash on the exit of Southern Loop. Multiple drivers involved that one. Norgren, Olsen back into the pit lane as we go side by side for the race lead. On towards lap 2. Got Ericsson on the inside line. Byfeld on the outside line as we go race spot side by side for this one. Side by side for the race lead, but also huge contact there on the exit of turn 2. 3 cars involved. There was a rear wing going off the track somewhere, and that is not what you want to see. Unfortunately, that is just how close you can get. Just drivers, unfortunately, that's a second contact actually already coming onto the entry of turn number 2. And for the live pictures, Byfeld has got to the race lead. Is he able to hold it in towards the braking zone? We've got Ericsson there on that inside line, and also Nom on the outside as they continue the racing. It literally is just a continuation from race 1, of course, with the order staying exactly the same. Byfeld's got the lead. Ericsson's having to drop into the inside for turn for Siberia into that P2 as we come back up the hill.
Yeah, and you see on the right side of the screen a lot of drivers having some self spins after some of the contact from before. In turn, though, the aggression level's much higher here in the early going. And that's a Footison not making friends. That's off the tire of Nom. And a great save from the 81. Just able to avoid significant damage to that car.
These drivers, there was a little bit more calm in that first race, but now the elbows are getting out side by side in towards the final corner. The 81 of Havlison on the outside line already had some contact. Fredriksson, we know he likes to get his elbows out. He's been very racy over the course of the last sort of couple of months in this Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. Up towards the front, though, are we going to see a change once more? The slipstream being a big effect around here. Nom half thinking about it down to the inside, but there's only one place lost for Byfeld. He was trying to recreate what they did a few laps ago in that first race. So Ericsson retakes the lead. Byfeld second, Nom in third, and Melvin Aukerson up into fourth place as he lets all the drivers battle in behind as Havlissen loses another place. Lindholm gets sixth.
Oh my goodness, Byfeld is being extremely aggressive though. You're talking about drivers not making these moves in race 1 into turn 10. He's saying, you know what? I struggle here, but who cares? I'm going to try and make passes outside. Turn 4, once again trying to make moves as well. We've just seen right there. This is getting extremely dicey. We didn't see this amount of diciness this early when Ericsson wasn't up front. Now that Byfeld has to deal with Ericsson and knows about the championship points, it looks like he's turned that intensity meter up or 3 notches in this, saying, I've got to be able to make a pass every hard braking zone or else I'm in trouble.
It is really, pass or be passed. This style of racing. Byfeld's pushing. He goes off the track. That's going to slow him down a little bit. He loses about a car length or 2, and that is enough for Nom to be right on the back of him pushing, and that might actually be too close. It might not work out because also Aukerson is getting involved. This might be a 3-wide situation as we get to the end of the front straightaway, coming on to lap 4 of 10 here for the second race of the evening. And look at the slipstream as they motor their way towards turn 1. Ericsson in the middle of the track trying to not really give the slipstream to anyone as we hit turn number 1. Byfeld on the outside. Nom dives it up the inside there. We're also seeing, of course, Aukerson trying to get through as they go side by side in towards the braking zone. Byfeld on the inside there in that second position in the background. We'll also see, look at all the Force drivers as they work their way around the 81 of Havlissen, who's now in 6th position as the guys are getting so close, pushing each other through these corners, and they're starting to take some risks in this race. Up the inside is going to be for Havlissen in towards the hairpin. Aukerson manages to get up the inside of Nom as well through the kink of turn 5 as they continue their battle.
And Nom has already proven he wants to have his best round of the season here with how he's got the elbows up. Wallen, everybody's basically put an elbow to his face since the start of the season. The Wallens have just found the way to get in the wall so many times. Today just seems not to be Oliver's day.
It's so funny how there's a few drivers like that. Oh no! As the 81 gets turned, coming through Lukey Heights. Talking of drivers who get involved in these things, Michael Havlissen, he's managed to do a 720 and continue on. But he's another driver who is so fast, but there's just a few little incidents that seem to be coming up. He got hit in turn 1, hit again on race 1, I should say, hit again in race 2, and now is down into 8th place, and that is another podium chance gone for him. Look at the gap up ahead, and look at all the drivers now coming to try and take that away from him, not being the season that he would have wanted. Up towards the front though, Byfeld to the outside. Let's see this first zone, almost pushing in the background. There might have been Fredriksson trying and getting very, very close indeed, but unfortunately, I should say, Havlissen able to continue.
That has absolutely contact, I think, with Fredriksson there. And Havlissen, I think, might have a problem pretty soon. He's still holding on to the 404, and others are going off trying to follow him. Just like this into the wall with the backdrop. That's Neptune yet again. Was about to say, with Havlissen, I think he's got suspension damage. Oh, wow. The battle between Ericsson and Byfeld continues.
Yeah, this race is getting a bit crazy. We're halfway through race 11 of 21. So we are literally halfway through this championship right now. And it is your 2 championship rivals, P1 and 2 in the championship, P1 and 2 on the track. And that is what we like to see. Let's see a replay. Oh, there's a huge bit of contact there coming in towards the turn there of turn 2. And it's almost an exaggerated collision as such, but Neptune, as soon as obviously the wheels go up in the air, no control of the vehicle, and was able to rejoin the race. Robert Ericsson there, slight bit of contact, just enough to put enough pressure and on the front of that car and spin it around. So you come onto the front straightaway one more time. Ericsson hard to the left-hand side. Byfeld goes to the mid part of the track. Nom might try and find his way through as well. We've seen this work. 2 cars getting through. Byfeld goes up to P1. Can Nom get P2? In towards Duan's corner. Side by side they go. Byfeld takes the race lead. Ericsson holds on as Nom decides not to do the huge risk, but a sort of risk around the outside. Melvin Aukerson, that's way too fast. He goes off the track. He's going to be dropping down the way, and so many drivers going to be coming past. P6 it'll be.
I'm not sure what the decision there was outside of I missed my braking mark. I wanted to see if I could stick it up topside. That's not usually a place where you make a pass on the outside, and you just seen partly why with how difficult it is to slow the car down when you try and get the grip on the major send like that. I felt just past the halfway point, though, I think is still in prime position to maybe get his first win, but Ericsson is not going to let him have it easy. If anything, it's made pretty clear the Force Esports machines are not afraid to not only use their elbows, but use their legs, their feet, their hands, their everything to push you out of the way.
Yeah, every limb on the body is being used by these drivers, and it's crazy the racing that we get in these cars and this series. They really are one of my favorite on the iRacing service, and just the battles that we get, and they work at so many different styles and formats as well. You can have long races, short races. It is very good indeed. Lap 6 is going to turn into lap 7 here at the Feather Online Gaming Grand Prix, race 2 of the evening, and we have one more to go, a reverse grid, and I cannot wait to see how that is going to go. Top 20 get reversed from the order that finishes this race, and so far will be Byfeld down in 20th place, Ericsson in 19th, but how will they finish? Nom is coming for this top 2 as well. Of course, third place in race 1, and Lenholm, of course, don't forget him, sitting nice and pretty in 4th.
Yeah, I think Lenholm might be something we haven't touched upon too much as a driver here, as an error swap attempt for the lead. Lenholm, he's been trying to just keep it calm after being sent back to about 6th, held on to 6th in the first race. Now he's got a chance to use his teammate to draft off of, as Ericsson has that preferred line for Siberia. And an also ice-cold move as Ericsson closes the door again.
Oh, this is hard racing between the championship contenders. Byfeld thinking about coming back at him through the hay shed. Of course, easily flat out in these cars and up towards Lukey Heights. Fast left-handed corner, and keep it to that left-hand side though, but not too far to left to open up the door for your rival. They all go sort of mid-track there, just to try and block that one off in towards the MG hairpin. Look at the change of lines there for Byfeld. He's going to try and set up this move. Of course, we know it's not the hardest move in the world with the amount of slipstream, but you do have to still set it up to get your rival in position. He's about a car length back, coming through the final corner at turn 12 and down the Gardner Straight. Where is he going to go? To the left-hand side, it looks like, as Ericsson defends to the mid part of the track. Nom, of course, bump drafting him through. And look at Lenholm. He tries to get through with side-by-side, 2x2 in towards turn 1. How are they going to come out of this, as they all remain absolutely pinned to the throttle on the exit, trying to get that inside line? Byfeld will take the lead as Nom tries to follow him through. Almost a bit of contact there. Yes, Ericsson as well, as come through the southern loop, and Nom keeps it to that inside line through Stoner's corner. Now this is an important moment for the race. Byfield might be able to get away here by a car length or so. Nom keeps it to the inside line of that 78 machine as they go almost to a side-by-side conditions in towards the braking zone, and Nom might just have this on the exit if he can hold it, but he loses the rear end just a little bit, as Ericsson might have to let it go around the outside of Siberia.
It's now coming down to teamwork racing, so to speak, here, where you have the Force line and you have the Bushfink line. And what's the saying when it comes to Team Bushfink? Don't kill the bird. And they are coming close to killing the bird. Meanwhile, Wetterstedt, again off track yet again. And that teamwork starting to break up the groupings, though. Force is starting to get the numbers with all the tire slide. Teammates are even running each other over in the back of the Force group.
And Ericsson there with a hard move on Nom on the exit of MG, and he's let his teammate Lenholm get through as well. Perfect timing, but what they need to do now is not battle this lap. There's going to be 2 laps to go at the line, and Byfeld's got a 7/10 of a second lead. He hasn't won a race so far this season, but leading the championship coming into this evening of racing. Is he going to finally get that race victory, or are the Force drivers going to come for him on the final 2 laps? Lap 9 of 10 here for the second race of the evening. One more to go as you get to the reverse grid race, but let's see how this one finishes. Oh, we've had a driver go off though. That is Fredriksson. Surely there must have been some contact there. We haven't seen anyone really go off at turn 1, as it's so sort of easy in these higher downforce cars, but there was certainly something going on there. No, with his teammate. Contact with his teammate, and that is not what the Force Esports management will want to see. That's Holmbaum now up to 5th place, but only by virtue of contact with his teammate.
Yeah, they didn't make contact the previous lap. That was what I was talking about in turn 10 between them. And now it's Byfeld's race to lose. By the way, this entire pack for about 13th, they've been crashing a lot lately. They just had at least 3 cars go off in this battle for the mid-pack. And now Fredriksson's right in the midst of this. Oh. This is where a lot of cars went, a lot of leapy-leap, and half of them try to go to Back Beach Road.
Oh, I mean, I think that's Bagman, Croak, Janka, Hana, all involved in that one. Bagman going down the front straightaway, the Gardner straight with no rear wing, and the car crabbing a little bit with a couple of laps to go as the drivers are fighting, of course, for being inside the top 20, the reverse grid. And so far, it's looking like it might be Robert Ericsson on that pole position. And he's losing the rear wing, the rear end, of course, with no rear wing, no downforce there. But they come on to the final lap. Jesper Ericsson is getting close. Lennholm hasn't come with him. So Ericsson is really pushing. It's going to be a 1v1 battle on the final lap of the race. Byfeld to try and get his first race victory of the season. Ericsson to get his 6th. This is a big, big moment in the championship as well, as Ericsson looks to try and retake that championship lead after this event, and he's got just half a lap to go.
And right now, traffic's no longer the management issue. Ericsson, that's a bold move to the inside. Looks like Byfeld expected it, though. Here comes the cross attempt.
And that's what we saw in the previous race. A huge dive up the inside for the race lead, and he's done it another time around. And once more, doesn't make contact. He retakes the race lead. And we saw in the previous race, Byfeld wasn't able to overtake before the line, but he's a lot closer this time around. Coming through the hay shed, he's got to get close. Surely it needs to be a move in towards MG as they come through Lukey Heights. Such a fast left-handed corner. Where do you want to position your car? In towards the braking zone. It looks like it's going to be a defensive line for Ericsson. That's going to slow down his exit onto the all-important front straightaway. Byfeld about a car length back, just a kilometre to go in this race, and it's all about the slipstream now. Hard to the left-hand side. He's got to be careful not to slow down his run onto the main straight. It's the end of race 2. Who is going to get the victory? It's Ericsson. So far, can Byfeld slipstream him towards the line? In the background, we're going side by side. 4 P3s, 2 by 2 across the line. And yes, Ericsson just holds on for another race victory this season. Byfeld has to wait once more as we go in towards the 12th race of the evening, of the season, as Norm holds on to 3rd place from Lennholm. Holmbaum gets 5th place, and Auksson is in 6th. The 40 Sports drivers having an amazing evening of racing. But Ericsson, with his 6th race victory of the season, also on the points, will be retaking the championship lead with that one, as Byfeld unfortunately misses out on the race victory once more. But as the drivers cool themselves down and we work out who is going to be on pole for the reverse grid race, we'll take just a couple of moments to calm down as we hear a few messages from our partners.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Well, what an evening of racing we're having here in the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Formula Series. We've had round 10 and 11 of the season, with Jesper Ericsson somehow taking race victory in both of them, and all both ahead of his championship rival, Marcus Byfeld, who's still waiting for that win, that elusive win so far this season. But Ericsson just positioning his car perfectly at the right time. It's myself, Cameron Roger, Justin Prince alongside me, and Dane Baird on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast as we work our way into the final race of the evening and round 12 of the season. Here are your results, and of course the top 20 of this will be reversed for our final 16-lap race. Ericsson took the race victory by just 37 thousandths of a second from Byfeld, Norman, Lenholm, and Holmholm inside your top 5. Augustin, Hafison, Holmer inside your top 8, Hellberg and Kamara rounding out your top 10. Of course, Jesper Ericsson with the fastest lap on lap 9 as he chased down for that final overtake. Frisken, Fredriksson, Broström, Lundberg and Bohlin inside your top 15, and then your front couple of rows will be Schott, Hjelmaled, Pedersen, Skogvason and Robert Eriksson will be on a all Team Superior Top Dogs front row for the reverse grid race, as the top 20 will be inverted for our final race. Neptun, Vedestad inside your top 22, just missing out on the invert. Broström, Weinstein, Motin, Janka, Backman, Horner and Allard Crook all inside your top 30, but having many issues unfortunately for the last few drivers. And then your final 3 is Norgren, Olsen and Loden all DNFing on that first lap of the race, which was a bit of a shame, Justin. We saw a few more crashes coming into that second race as the drivers started to take a few more risks.
Yeah, especially since the sun was getting a little bit higher, so what can you say? It's opposite time in Australia, which means the craziness sometimes, instead of coming out at nighttime, comes out in the daytime. That being said, when it comes to the field, now it's going to be a lot more intriguing because the middle of the pack really emphasized the craziness with some of the big crashes. But now it's also going to be about the matter of, will raw speed be enough for some of these drivers to make it through the said craziness, especially knowing drivers like Hafwedison, like Oscar Fredriksson, are going to have solid track position here as a result of, well, their bad luck in that last race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a funny game, this racing, with how the races go your way sometimes, of how the races don't go your way, and some drivers get on a bad run of form. It's a really funny one, and I think we're definitely seeing this with a few drivers. Of course, Hafwedison, he's had so many issues in this championship, not just this season, but last season as well. He's had the pace, getting 2 race victories last time out to prove that, but he was 20th in the standings, Justin, after being the champion of our previous road course series in the LMP2s. He really struggled since we've changed these F4s. And are you sort of the believer that some drivers have just so-called bad luck?
In terms of if they're perpetually cursed, you mean?
Something like that. Some drivers just seem to be involved in things a little more often than others.
Yes and no. It's like, you can't, if it's a repeating pattern, you have to look back at yourself, as the main advice goes. But at the same time, you can't help it when you have literally 5 wrecks in a day or a round or a season, let alone the basically one a day Hafwedison seems to be able to find, that have everything crazy fall in their lap. It's almost to where it's like, should I battle anymore? Should I just say ole?
I mean, it is a tough one, but let's actually get that in a second because we'll see the grid. Just to confirm the inverters: Ericsson, Skeglerson on the front row, Pedersen, Hjelmaled on your second row, Hawkins, Schott and Oliver Bohlin after that issue in the second race, dropping down. Unfortunately for him, P6 it will be for the reverse grid. Lundberg, Broström had a good inverted race last time out. Fredriksson in P9, Frisk in P10, Kamara, Hellberg, your top 6 rows of the inverted grid. And of course, we still have the 33 drivers for this race: Holmer, Hafwedison, Auction, Holmbaum, Lenholm, and Nom inside your top 18. And then the final drivers inverted, who of course are your championship rivals of Byfeld and Jesper Ericsson inside your top 20 there. They're going to have a lot of work to do, but we do know you can overtake around here. Neptun, Vedestad inside your top 11 rows, Broström and Wollingstone inside your top 24. Then we have Motin, Jonker, Backman, Horner, Allard, Crook inside your top 30. And the final drivers on the grid, unfortunately, have had quite a few issues this evening. Norgren, Olsen, and Klaas Loden rounding out your 33 car field for this final race of the evening, round 12 of the season here at Phillip Island. And of course, the Feather Online Gaming's Grand Prix, and we do thank them for hosting the practice races that these drivers will get to do on Monday evening as well, as a big help for these drivers to get prepared for these races. And let's see what they can do. We got the teammates on the front row for the Team Superior Hot Dog, as Top Dogs, I should say. And what can they do with Ericsson and Skegelsen? They need to try and maximize the points that they can get in this race. And of course, we have the Street Trends driver of Lucas Pedersen in there, just in behind. We've got some of the Bright Esports. This is all a good opportunity for some big point swings in the championship. And that is why these races are important. But 16 laps, a slightly longer race, a lot of slipstream coming your way. It's going to be Ericsson, the 35 machine, from your pole position, who's going to get us underway for the final race of the evening. But it's a bit of a terrible start. And Dan Skegelsen is going to get the run down towards turn 1. Surely he'll have the lead and he'll have the run as the teammates go side by side down towards the not really braking point in this car. But they do go side by side. That's going to slow them down as their rivals catch up in towards the southern loop. Cars almost going off in the background as they take the risks, trying to get the final sort of few overtakes on the first lap here. Lap 16, of course, is what they need to get to, so don't be crashing just yet. But they are remaining all in a nice formation down towards turn number 3. The teammates have held on to the lead.
I give it about 5 more seconds before that field implodes, because we're offset 3 wide, several layers deep. And there we go. There's the contact, there's the rubbing, there's Walwyn getting pushed by Lucas Pedersen. And just like that, the calmness. I already expected this as soon as the green flag dropped with how things have gone.
And it's looking good for a couple of the drivers so far. Ericsson's made a couple of places. He's up into P17. Byfirst following him as there's contact further back as the drivers work their way through the mid part of this first lap. We're still side by side up in towards Lukey Heights. I think that was Lundberg trying to get past Yamaled in towards MG. Now they go as it looks like he has completed that move. Yamaled diving up the inside there, locking up. As there's a replay on your right hand side of the screen, is there going to be some contact? 3 wide it was for a moment, coming through Siberia, and just enough to send a huge bit of a spin there, unfortunately, as that was also one of the drivers getting a spun around there of Pedersen in the 51 machine.
Yeah, and that was after the pushing around when it came to the run through Miller Corner. All that's while Robert Ericsson, as we expected, able to keep it extremely calm here. Was expecting that has a teammate behind, but from the next spots on back, that's where I'm expecting things to get insane again, because here it is again. A lot of your front runners trying to go 2 and 3 wide in the heart of Southern Loop, and these drivers are trying to find a way to go to the beach and into the water at the rate things are going.
Yeah, but they want to be doing that with a trophy from the podium, and you're not going to be doing that if you're spinning out of the race. But they need to take some risks. As much as there's 16 laps to do this, but there's 20 cars in front of them from the invert. Lundberg gets to second, Walwyn to third. Skegelsen unfortunately drops down a couple of places there. There's some movers in the mid part of the field. I think that's Frisk as well making a move. Fredriksson in P4 gets past Skegelsen. The 65 machine dropping down the way. Always there's a huge spin there coming down towards MG on the previous lap. Lenholm got spun around. A couple of other drivers, I think Wallingston maybe one of the drivers involved in that. Just showing you how easy it is to catch the back. And there's Pedersen coming in after his issues on that first lap.
Yeah, that wasn't a great pit entry into the wall, wasn't it? But that's what happens when you lose the suspension. Moden, it's been a terrible round for him. He wasn't happy on the radio after the second race alone. He's had a lot of slides, a lot of broken suspensions today when it comes to the damage. But that mid to front pack is getting aggressive again. That's Walwyn, Lundberg, Fredriksson, Haflidason saying, if you're going to send me 3 wide and punt me a couple times, I'm going to go and take some names and take you 3 wide.
Oh, and there's almost looking a 4 wide for a moment there as they squeeze each other to the inside. Haflidason almost getting Walwyn there for second place, not quite enough. So Walwyn second, Haflidason is in third place, Lundberg in fourth, and Fredriksson on the outside, also the inside, I should say, of the start of the loop, gets up into that 4th place. And Haflidason, I mean, Surely it's a bit difficult to drive upside down, but he's making it work as he goes up the inside there off Stoner's corner. Is that going to be enough? Because it will turn to the outside line, so he's really going to have to work for that one. Oliver Bohlin, who's showing some amazing speed in the last few weeks of the Bohlin Svenska iRacing both the Formula Series and the Oval. He's up there in P2, but he locks up. He goes a bit wide, and Haflidsson should have that second place.
It's getting extremely chippy out there on the racetrack, and Haflidsson, you can see, is like, okay, what's going on? What's going on to my left? What's going on behind me? Why is this guy pinching me? It is for the top 3, mind you, so don't blame him. But Haflidsson's amongst those who has that thought process of, okay, I've got to sometimes let it go. That's why sometimes they just don't break themselves.
Yeah, when a driver's being aggressive, sometimes, as you say, you do have to let them go and let them cause their own issues. And Bohlin, unfortunately, they're dropping down the way. I think that's about P22 is coming up. Really a load of drivers getting past. As onto the front straightaway, Robert Ericsson, he's gotten over a second lead. That might just be enough. We'll see if Haflidsson is just inside the draft range. I think he might be just out of it. And that is a big, big shame for him, because look at all the drivers coming in behind. Fredriksson, Frisk, Lundberg, and even Skelson not too far behind, working their way up towards the front of this race. At 4 of 16 we go, and Haflidsson is looking at a very nice potential race victory, but as he's out of the draft range, that's going to be very difficult. In the background though, that was one of the Bright Esports spinning around as all this gaggle of cars works their way through turn 3. Look how many cars in the same piece of racetrack. This is what the inverted grid does. They're all trying to fight for some space, all trying to fight for some room. And of course, the skill level, the speed of the drivers is all inverted, pushing everyone up to the front.
And I think at this point, if you're the heart of this, you're screaming in your head. I'm screaming at fear if I'm in this field, because Ericsson can't find a way to get around by. Marcus Byfeld's getting boxed in. He's losing a lot of time, but that's already 4 seconds of the leader. They're running side by side in places you shouldn't be running side by side with, and eventually it gets to the point where it's like, I gotta go eventually. I can't just let them all crash and hope that's going to be what happens here, because Ericsson will just get impatient, and then the next person will get impatient, etc.
This is a difficult one for Broström. He's got Byfeld on his outside. That's Jesper Eriksson. So the two championship contenders trying to battle in behind. And Broström's just looking in his mirror like, please don't get involved with me. I want to keep myself up inside this top 10. He's got the blue machine, Bright Esports machine there of Linus Broström. He's going to be getting double overtaken surely by Ericsson and Byfeld, as they're going to take all the risk in the world up the inside of turn 1. But it looks like one of them has to back out of it, as I think it's Ericsson. Yeah, Ericsson has overtaken Byfeld in the process of this. We go and we see a replay a little bit. No, we do not, because that was not something to be seen, as we go back to the live pictures of Broström trying to hold on to this P10 position in that blue Bright Esports car. Look at all of them up ahead of him. It's going to be the inside line for Jesper Eriksson coming down, but he's almost blocked off by some drivers up ahead of him. Jömeled and Skegelsson, they're having their own battle. Broström goes wide as there's a driver in the middle of the road. Everyone manages to avoid him. I think that's Skegelsson going backwards as his race goes from bad to worse.
That was your leader, Robert Ericsson, on his own, who spun it. Oh my goodness, that was absolutely dangerous in terms of where he spun it around. That's a south spin off the corner, too much power in the low torque, and everybody somehow missed him after he tried to flick spin it backwards.
Oh, let's see. This does he? Oh yeah, sort of avoids. So fails to get back on the track the first time round. Unfortunately, from being gifted that pole position, it's not going to be a race win or even a top 5 finish. He had over a second lead at one point, and now is gifted the race lead to Haflidsson. So that's a big shame for Ericsson. He's coming through, and yeah, just losing the rear end, sort of, yeah, on that mid to exit part, so on power, and he sits there not quite knowing what to do, but he actually did the right thing of staying there. Everyone was able to avoid using their spotters. It's just a shame that he lost the extra sort of 5-10 seconds from not being able to do that flick spin quite quick enough.
Yeah, better yet, at least he didn't do the flick spin into the track. That would have been 100% worse than what happened. But in the case of the 81 machine, Hafley, he's got damage, mind you, to that front wing. This is not going to be all said and done, and you know who's next behind him? His good old friend, Oscar Fredriksson.
And not too far in the background as well is, of course, Ericsson and Byfeld. And surely over the next 10 laps, if Haflidsson can't quite go full speed and they start battling, they might start to close up as well, as they're just exiting Siberia now. So certainly plenty of potential issues for these drivers still to be worked out in the final 10 laps of this race and of the Feather Online Gaming Grand Prix. Listen leads the way. Fredriksson, the two nemesises of the last few rounds, have been side by side many times, have had contact many times, and let's see if this one continues on. Bit of a lock-up as they came through MG. Fredriksson now tries to work his way through the final couple of corners. Fredriksson is in slipstream and draft range, and it should be enough to get this overtaking move done down towards turn 1. But which side is he going to go? Fredriksson goes to the left-hand side of the track, so Fredriksson will have to go to that inside line, and that should be a nice, easy move, because I doubt Fredriksson's going to risk it around the outside of turn 1, and certainly he doesn't. Through doing they go, and the 112 hits the front.
Very quickly, efficiently done for Byfeld and company. They're slowly approaching. There's still 4 seconds back. That's the downside when it comes to Byfeld and company. They need to get on the gas, and the problem is going to be they don't have the draft effect to be able to close the gap. And this up here, they have to hope it keeps fighting and fighting and holding each other up and fighting and fighting, holding each other up. Here's a little bit of a outlier in terms of what could shuffle things in terms of team perspective. Frisk is up here in his best run of the race and of the week so far. The 25 has a chance to be the spoiler in all this, and that might be the little variable that could allow a lot of breakup.
Certainly indeed. As Vedestad, 3 races and 3 big incidents that he's involved with, which is a big shame. Big shame for him, as he's just not had the race. Neptune as well. He's been involved in a few things, and it is just one of those things where, sometimes it doesn't quite go your way. And Jocko Frisk in the 25 machine, he's down in 41st place in the championship out of 47. Further contact there with Junker getting involved, and another reason to keep the halo, even in the sim, as Hana there getting spun around, unfortunately. But yeah, Frisk is 41st place in the championship. So he basically right down the bottom. He's had 6 races, so he's done 2 rounds, and he's now looking at a potential race victory if things go his way. Haflidsson and Fredriksson, they swap around once more, as you would expect. But his drivers are behind. Also Lundberg there as well, but he's a bit lower down in the championship. These are drivers who could really benefit from these big points.
Hugely, if they're able to survive, and better yet, maintain track position. As there's the pass back for the race lead yet again with the draft effect. Here's the problem with that. Look how close those intervals are coming down. The gap, since the last time we talked about it, already nearly a second gain by your top racers in the first 2 races. They're catching up every time they make a swap, every time they go side by side heading into Miller Corner. That's where they're chipping away on top of the raw pace as a whole that those points leaders have showcased all season.
They certainly are catching up. There's once again a bit of a locker there for Flitter, but it is kind of the nature of the corner. But still something to be noted, and these guys are really getting closer. Byfeld, Ericsson now only 3 seconds off the lead. Of course, Nom is pulling them with them. And we've also got Melvin Aukesson just on the back of that one. So this 4-car trade of fast drivers who finished inside the top 5 in the opening couple of races, and let's see how this one goes. As to the inside there goes Byfeld, Nom down into 6th place, Byfeld up to 5th, so he's now leading this train of cars, trying to chase down the race lead, but they need to be careful of these battles. Back up the inside, we see Ericsson go as well, try to fight his way through Nom, and this is not going to be the way that they catch up to the leaders as they continue this battle down in towards Stoner's corner. I do apologize, this is Fredriksson, I should say. Fredriksson on the inside line there, going down towards Miller's hairpin, as this is, of course, the battle for the race lead, just losing them time in the background. Side by side they go. Fredriksson, he holds on to that race lead for now. Fredriksson in that 2nd place, Frisk in 3rd. It's funny that the top 2 keep battling, but the 2 in behind stay in the same position.
Yeah, exactly, especially with how these leaders have continued to fray it out and battle it out in the midst of all this. Byfeld and Ericsson, they're going to be here next lap at this rate. That's how much these two are just fighting and fighting and fighting. And then you have Frischkin here that's like, I'm just fine. I'm upside down. I think there's a second screen in the backdrop. I don't know why that's like that. But, hey, that's what works.
and he's doing a good job. Because look, he's right on the back of the leaders here, coming down the front straightaway, coming on to lap 10 of 16. Final race of the evening. Nothing really to lose. In the middle for the race lead to the inside line, we've got Fredriksson. To the outside line, we've got Havnison. To the inside, we've got Jocke Frisk going for the race lead. He might have it. He's got past one. Can he make it two in towards the southern loop? What a move that is from the 25 machine to hit the front. All the risk in the world, nothing to lose. But he goes to the front of the race as in behind Havnison and Fredriksson continue their battle on. And that surely is going to be move of the evening. Coming down in towards the hairpin though. Is he going to be able to hold on to it? Havnison goes to the inside line. He's going to surely try and outbrake the 25 machine, diving his nose up the inside there. But Frisk defends nicely on the outside line. Havnison squeezes the 25 out there to aggressively retake the race lead.
I mean, I guess who needs calm when you can just take the lead? Aeronum, though, that's a bit sloppy of a slide on the deep send towards the inside to the southern loop. That has been a struggle side by side all day today in that section. In turn, though, here comes Byfeldt. And Ericsson's lost a bit of ground in turn as things have settled out. Ericsson's going to be another lap away from catching up. Byfeldt's in prime position if he can just pick off these cars 1 by 4.
I think Ericsson should just about be okay. Just about. He's inside that 1 second and with the battling up ahead. But that is certainly a risky time for the race to not get really much further than 1 second behind. Byfeldt's going to be going for the move here on his teammate. That's Eric Lundberg in the 18 machine. Out towards the front and Havnison, Ericsson and Frisk continuing their 1-2-3 formation. But actually, will they? Because there's a bit of a late dive there from Fredriksson up the inside. Havnison will once more get the inside line in towards the southern loop as it opens up the door for someone to dive up the inside. No one decides to do so. So Fredriksson holds on the outside line. It never really works on that corner. It's just so much longer. So many more meters you have to do down the outside there at turn 2. But at the inside of turn 3, that might be an overtaking opportunity. The 112 goes to the left-hand side. Almost contact inside the braking zone. Here's Byfeldt. Is he able to get up into the podium around the outside of Miller's as Frisk needs to just close him off there, which he does do. But up the inside, in towards Siberia, Byfeldt is looking very, very good, potentially for this race victory.
And a bit of sliding and checking up in turn. Byfeldt, I think, has the upper hand. He's got coming to make it 5 laps to go to just pass 3 cars. You pass one at a time, 1 per lap. You've got a lot of room to work with. As long as nothing significant happens with him, I think he's in a prime position. That being said, all it takes is Ericsson to join in. Here we go again for the lead. And now that sets the table quickly for Byfeldt to make the next jump of car.
Look who's right on the back of this now. It's Jesper Eriksson. Four-car train we go through the final corner, bump drafting each other out onto the front straight. We're coming on to lap 12 as the laps count down. 5 remain in this race. 3 wide we go for the race lead. Are we going to make it 4? Not quite enough room there for Byfeldt. He's sitting in 3rd place. Frisk once more in the middle goes to the race lead. All the risk in the world, and that is an amazing move. Havnison will have the inside line. Almost a bit of contact, and he goes around once more as also one of who is that going around? It's Lundberg who goes around. I thought it might have been Byfeldt, but it's his teammate Lundberg and Havnison in sort of the 4th out of 5th of the previous races in this championship goes around, but to the front. Frisk still leads. Fredriksson now has an open door down the inside in towards Miller's hairpin. Should be able to just about retake that lead as he pushes him out on the exit there up towards Siberia. And all this is doing is opening up the door because Jesper Eriksson got Byfeldt in the midst of that.
All I can think about in the midst of that is Fredriksson probably saying to himself, as you post the gif of your reaction to that incident, is, don't you dare park your front wing, your rear wing on my front nose. I will hit you. And it worked out horribly for the 81.
It certainly has not been at all. Huge send up the inside there for Frisk as he's really going for this race lead, and he seemingly has the pace to hold on to it as well. So we've got Fredriksson, Frisk, now Jesper Eriksson, who's already won the first 2 races so far. And let's see this from Eriksson's point of view. He goes to the outside line. He's going to have, there's Byfeldt goes wide, and he goes through the middle. There's Lundberg spinning on his inside, and that was just the parting of the seas, and it seemed to work out for the 37, who's had his car in the perfect position for the last 6 months of this championship, both in the Formula and Oval Series. Up towards the front, though, Fredriksson leads the way. Ericsson should have the inside line for P2. Frisk goes a little bit wide, and of course, Byfeld now is trying to follow through, still awaiting that elusive race victory. Up the inside is going to be in towards turn 3. He should have this one stuck, although Frisk surely will hold it around the outside, as it is all the reward for the risk that he needs to take up the inside. Byfeld, of course, leading, trying to continue to lead this championship through the apex of turn 4 they go. And Frisk is really putting on a fight, but Byfeld should just about have this one done. Now needs to chase down his championship rival.
And it got much, much harder as a result of that, because here's the look, first of all, with Ericsson. Keep in mind, Byfeld, in the midst of that, a couple car lengths up, he got a nose job from the amount of contact from right about here. Ericsson just has to be like, get through the gears, look for the hole, make sure it stays open, don't touch anybody, don't take any sudden breaths, gas it up and just run. Pretend that didn't happen. At this point, Ericsson just had the C's part perfectly for him to get through. If that 18 slid a little bit more his way, it's race over. Compare that to Byfeld. You're talking about hoping that they just spin to the inside. For Haffey, he just spun to the outside, and at that point it's like, okay, we got to minimize the damage here. Car can still turn. I've got aero damage. Is this going to be a hindrance? And so far, not as much as I think.
I think these guys are all good in the end, especially Byfeld was able to get now back up into that third place. Frisk, unfortunately, after being in the lead with 2 amazing moves, has dropped down to P4. Orkson is still on the back of this in P5. The 2 teammates go side by side in towards the braking zone at Miller's hairpin. And Ericsson, can he get all 3 race victories? It looks like it might be a little bit more difficult, though, because Byfeld follows him through. Fredriksson, he's been hard defending all evening. Surely he's going to do the same. Now to the to the arrival on the outside, the Street Trends driver holds it to the outside of Sibero. This might work out as he come up through the hay shed. Ericsson, of course, going to be giving him that draft right up the hill, as it looks like the yellow and yellow and purple machine might be able to now go to the outside line of Lukey Heights, around the outside of Oscar Fredriksson. Fredriksson has had contact here in the previous race. Up the inside now is going to be, he's really making him work for it, but Byfeld should have that second place. And now the 2 championship rivals go 1-2, as they have been for the first 2 races.
And I still can't believe I'm saying this without the damage to Byfeld's front nose right now. He's still in a prime position to be able to get this done if he's able to keep the pressure up on Ericsson despite said front nose damage. It's going to need to be, though, where he needs to set up the pass right. And if anything, get Ericsson to lose ground so he can try and capitalize back. A pass like that's great and all, but here's the thing. There's still less than 2 laps to go.
And if they stay in this formation, coming onto the front straight next time around, Jesper Eriksson will go back to the front and will then be leading onto the final lap, which has worked in the first 2 races, leading the final lap. Let's see how this one works out, though. Byfeld defends to the inside of the hairpin, as we now have 3 Forza Esports drivers trying to make it 3 of them on the podium, but they all 3 need to get past Byfeld to do so. So at least they're going to be getting 2 drivers up there. Frisk drops down into 5th place as Orkson, the 86 machine, gets up into 4th place. Haffley gets back up into 6th, recovering from that spin he had a bit earlier, but up to, actually, no, we go back to that to see, because Olsen is still fighting this one as you come up the hill through the hay shed. Haffley on the inside, Olsen in the 292 machine, continuing to go side by side through Lukey Heights. That is big risk around the outside for the 81, but he needs these extra few points in the championship, and this is really working out there for the 292, but he goes wide, and the 81 will get the run onto the front straight.
Coming to the white flag, though, that battle for the race lead. Ericsson again has Byfeld right where he needs to go. There's the run.
Is it going to be enough? Down the inside, it should be. Byfeld is actually thinking about almost getting back in the slipstream. That's how early Ericsson was able to hit the front onto this final lap. So we know you can overtake into turn 1, but can you overtake to the line? Because Byfeld needs to do that. Or is he going to stuff it down the inside of the hairpin? We've seen Ericsson do that twice in race 1 and race 2, and that's what got him the race lead. was this huge send down in towards turn 4 at the hairpin, and surely Byfeld needs to try this. The 37 will see it coming. It's a move that he knows well. He goes hard to the right-hand side. Byfeld to the outside, needs to try and get the 37 offline. Do that, the up and under, and this might work in towards Siberia, but he needs to do it once more and get the up and under again, and then have the run up towards, of course, Lukey Heights. The outside he goes, and Eracsson just about holds on, but is there going to be one final twist in the tail? He's won 2 races so far, and Byfeld has been second in the 2 races so far. What can the championship rivals do? This might be a big swing in the championship for the 37, who came into this race, into this event, second place in the championship, down in towards MG. Byfeld goes, not quite enough to make the overtake, so he's going to have to do it on the slipstream, on the front straightaway, or does he want to try some audacious move up the inside of the final corner? He's thinking about it. He's diving up the inside. He's got his front wing there. This might be the move for the race lead, as he'll have the shorter run to the line. Marcus Byfeld takes the lead, but is it enough? Eracsson has the speed down the front straightaway, and he holds on to take the third and final race victory of the evening, sweeping the Feathers Online Gaming Grand Prix. And Byfeld tried it, something a bit different up the inside there, but it wasn't quite enough. The 37 goes back to back here at Phillip Island.
I think the damage was the big difference right there. Eracsson, clean car. Byfeld, nose damage. If Byfeld had a clean car, we've seen how that little advantage out of the corner would have probably been enough. Not today.
But that is how the racing goes. Byfeld, he had Hafley spin in front of him. Eracsson had the parting of the seas and managed to go through. And as you say, that might have been just enough, just for those extra few thousandths of a second coming towards the line. And I respect Byfeld so much for diving up the inside there at turn 12, trying something a bit different. We never saw a move all evening into turn 12. Everyone was waiting for the front straight, of course, but on the final lap, we don't really have much choice. The start-finish line is halfway down the straight. You need to make that overtake, and he almost had it done. But in the end, it was Jesper Eracsson who took another race victory this season. Coming into this evening, he had 4 race victories, make that 7 now out of 12 races. He's looking very good. We still have quite a few races to go. We go to the Red Bull Ring, Circuit Zandvoort, and of course Oran Park. But he's looking very good for a back-to-back F4 championship here for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Formula Series. And Marcus Byfeld just seems to be a couple of thousandths shy every time from this man Jesper Eracsson, who is dominating this series and this community over the last few months. Really just showing the pace that he's got. And of course, the Forza Esports drivers giving us some donuts as they celebrate their victories and their podiums here this evening at Phillip Island. Looking very, very good indeed for them. And of course, we come back down racing here for Oran Park at the final race of the season before we crown our champion. And will it be this driver, the 37, Jesper Eracsson, as he gives us some amazing donuts. He's getting a lot of practice, not just in the Cup car, but also in the F4 series that we have here. And Byfeld, really, really strong result, but unfortunately not quite enough to do the business tonight, and misses out on a race victory with all these second places that he is having. As we get to the results, Jesper Eracsson, Marcus Byfeld, as you saw to the line, 21,000. I'd like to see a combined total as well of the 3 races. Byfeld potentially was within a second of Eracsson, within a tenth of a second of Eracsson for all 3 races combined. Just not quite enough for the race victories tonight. Augustin, Fredriksson and Frisk round out your top 5, with Olsen, Hafley, Lundberg, Broström and Kamara inside your top 10. Kamara having a very strong race. Marcus Byfeld getting the fastest lap on lap 8. So that'll be an extra point going his way. The drivers inside the top 10. Holmbom, Jelmeled, Schott, Bachmann, Crook inside the top 15. Loden, Skelson unfortunately dropping down from that front row. Norgren, Jonker and Motin inside your top 20. And all these drivers about 30 seconds or so off the race lead, as the front drivers really, really had some fast pace in this 16-lap race. And then we are going to see some bigger names a little bit further down. Ivan Lenholm as well, unfortunately getting involved in a few things. Broström, Hana, Hellberg, Rob Eriksson from your lead at one point, spinning himself 2 laps down in the end. Wallingston, Wallen Nom, Holmer, Vedestad. There's some big names dropping down there, just showing you how difficult it is. And then the last couple of drivers, we've got Allard, we've got Pedersen, and I think Neptune as well, being the final drivers on the grid. But of course, it's time to get some interviews and hear the thoughts of some of the drivers as they work their way back into the garage and calm themselves down after an amazing evening of racing. And first, we'll bring in the 37 of Jesper Eriksson for Forza Esports. And Jesper, 3 for 3, but even though on paper that might look quite easy, you really had to work hard for that tonight.
Oh man, I had to work so hard. I haven't had any time to practice this week because of Bathurst and other stuff, and my qualification I did was decent, and then race 1 I was like, let's see where you come, hopefully top 3, and somehow I managed to get a run on everyone and get the win somehow. Don't know how, and probably just see how, and the rest of the race is just to plan ahead to be second over the start finish line when the white flag came, and just to do smart moves and just race smart. But due to everyone racing so clean and so good, it's possible to have as hard racing as we had today, and much respect to Marcus for being such an awesome racer. Absolutely love racing with him, so respectful.
Yeah, you're having a great battle with Marcus, and of course, especially in race 1 and 2, what really won you the race there was your huge sends down the inside of turn 4. You had so much confidence on the brakes there, hugging the curb on the inside. How did you not crash into each other?
Don't ask me. No, but like the last send in race 2, I didn't have the confidence for it. I was like, okay, this might not work. So I just tried to hug the curb as much as I possibly could, just not involve Marcus and anything, but it worked. Somehow I'm gotten quite good at the brakes. I realized coming out of turn 2, the long sweeping left-hander, that I might make a move, so I pushed the brake by setting to the rearward 2 buttons, and it worked. The car held straight and I didn't crash.
And lastly, I have to ask you, how hard is the wall?
How hard is the wall?
Yeah.
Oh man, don't mind me about that. I have PTSD.
I was asked to tell
everyone.
you. I was here to ask you, I should say.
It's from Michael, right?
Yes.
Maybe.
That bastard. But yeah, the wall is hard. I have PTSD from it from every single race that I've done. So yeah.
Good stuff.
I am curious, what is the context?
We did a practice race at Bathurst like 2 years ago, and every single lap I put it in the wall coming out to the back straight every single time, and it was like, there's a wall there, and I was like, yeah, haven't moved yet. So that now it's just bullying with me.
Well, that's good stuff that you guys have some good banter despite the hard battles on track. That's what we like to see. So congratulations, Jesper, for your 3 victories this evening.
Thank you. See you next week.
And talking of Michael himself, we'll bring him in, the number 81. And thank you, Hafli, for the reminder to ask him about the wall. But how was it today? Because unfortunately, it's been a little bit this way for you the last couple of months. You really have the speed in this car, but just a couple of incidents came into your races today.
I think today was a bit just of bad luck overall. I mean, I'll take blame for the one in the third race for sure. I was not ready to Johan broke really early into turn 2, and I was not prepared at all. So I'll fully take the blame on that. Like, I think I had the win in the pocket almost. Like, I know I had the speed. So it's a shame. But yeah, then getting spun around in turn, I don't even know what, but in race 2 and then obviously the last lap in race 1, I mean, not had the race day or like the season at all I wanted, but I'm showing speed and I'm mostly focusing for the Swedish Championship right now, so hopefully that can go my way.
Oh, absolutely. But how are you enjoying this style of racing? Because it seems to really suit you. Of course, you got the 2 race victories last season, and you probably could have got another 2 tonight. So it seems to be a car that suits you quite a lot.
Yeah, I like the F4 a lot. It's like a bigger version of the Skippy, and I loved the Skippy. I used to drive in ABL all the time, back in the days. I miss that series a lot, and I think that the car kind of brings me back because it's similar driving style. You have to push it so much and be on the edge all the time, and I'm really enjoying the time in the car.
Yeah, it's certainly working out well for you. So hopefully it goes a little bit better in a couple of weeks' time. Good luck for that.
Thank you.
And then lastly, we'll bring in Melvin Aukson, who is having a very strong sort of spell of driving. And of course, coming into this event, you were third place in the championship as well, and another strong performance. So Melvin, is really working out quite nicely for you at the moment.
Thank you, Cameron. How are you guys? You had quite a job commentating these races. It was quite hectic, I can imagine.
Oh yeah, it was certainly hectic, and especially you Force Esports guys. There's so many of you out there on the track in this series, but I mean, you're able to get third place in the end in that final race. But also earlier on, you're always up inside the top 5, so you're clearly working well as a team.
I think it's mostly just about surviving these races. You know, the third race is very chaotic, and I think the main thing is just to survive that race. But yeah, I think the team works really well at the moment. So yeah, we're happy as a team and as individuals as well.
Absolutely. And just how are you finding this sort of style of racing? Because especially in that final race, you sort of sat there in that 5th place for quite a while, and then you just sort of wait for the drivers to have their crashes, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You know, with the net codes, it's very easy to have contact here, even if it's not intentional. So you're just gonna have to wait and be patient. You know, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So yeah, I was just waiting behind the leaders, and you know, on this track, it's really important to stay in the slipstream. So I think it's good to not be fighting too much because you don't want to lose the lead pack. It's kind of like oval racing in that way on this track. So yeah, it was very fun. It was very a tactical race. Yeah.
And next time we go back to Europe and the Red Bull Ring, what can you expect from that track?
Dive bombs, I guess.
Yeah,
it's very overtaking. Yeah, exactly. It's a very overtaking friendly track with long straights and hard braking zones. So I can imagine that it will be very, very entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck for that, and hopefully we'll speak to you again. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
So that concludes a pretty eventful evening here for the Feather Online Gaming Grand Prix at Phillip Island Circuit for rounds 10, 11 and 12 of the season. So we're halfway through the season now, and we go to, of course, in a few weeks' time, to the Red Bull Ring for rounds 13, 14 and 15 before Circuit Zandvoort and then Oran Park to finish the season of 21 races on the 18th of April and to find out who our champion is going to be. Jesper Eriksson is looking very good for it, but you don't know how the racing goes and you can very easily swap things around. So 3rd of March, Red Bull Ring, 8 p.m. CT here, RaceSpotTV for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Formula Series will be coming your way, but don't forget we alternate here with the Oval Series as well. We'll be coming back to that one as we hot up for the final race of the regular season at Talladega, which is going to be quite amazing. So next week, 29th of February, we go racing for 82 laps for the Orkentech Racy McRace Tree Fitty. A nice name by those guys to finish off the regular season. So yeah, plenty of racing coming your way, and we can't wait to see you there. It's been myself, Cameron Roger, Justin Prince alongside me in the commentary box, Dane Baird on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast, and until next time, we wish you a very warm goodbye.